This episode of Distraction is sponsored by Landmark College in beautiful Putney, Vermont. If you've never been to Putney, Vermont, you ought to go visit. Landmark College offers bachelor's and associate's programs, bridge semesters, and summer programs for students who learn differently. To learn more, visit lcdistraction.org.
The mind is a powerful thing. If you want it bad enough, you can do it. Medicated or not, you can do it, right, Ned? I mean, when you want it bad enough, you can accomplish it if you set out little ways with lists, prioritization, incentives, and timelines. Anyone can do anything.
Hello, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell, and welcome to Distraction. Today we have one of our favorite guests, Kristin Seymour, all the way from St. Louis. She is, in terms of credentials, a board-certified adult health clinical nurse specialist. She's a nurse practitioner with a specialty in cardiology. She's at the world-renowned Barnes Jewish Hospital in St. Louis, one of the absolutely top-rated hospitals in the world. She also happens to have ADHD in her spare time. She works on ADHD. She's authored a book about her own experience with ADHD, a wonderful book. I urge you to go buy it. It's short, which is good for those of us who have ADHD. You can actually read it. It's beautifully written, full of stories and anecdotes. It's called The Fog Lifted, and it tells you how Kristin discovered, the fog she'd been living in, and how she came out of that fog and went on to excel. And it's quite something, to excel in cardiology. If you don't know it, cardiology is like the toughest field in medicine, and it's a thrill a minute, a crisis a minute. And she's able to do that. And then in her spare time, like on weekends and evenings, take care of the crises that arise in the lives of these kids, mostly who have ADHD. And I've met some of them, and she's really working with some of the really tough cases, kids who are coming out of terrible poverty and abuse. And so Kristin doesn't just serve the easy cases. She serves the tough cases, and she's really, no exaggeration, saving lives, changing lives. She's one of these people who honestly and truly is on a mission. And much as her life was reclaimed and transformed by this diagnosis, she's now going about doing that for a legion of people in St. Louis. The medical profession in that city swears by her. They all want their patients to see Kristin. And, she can't take care of everybody, but if she had her way, she would. And she's just one of those people who's always busy. Whenever I call her, she says, "Wait a minute, I'll call you right back." She's always in between doing things, and it seems like she's never tired. And even though she's always tired, she is able to keep it going like the ever-ready bunny. She's a remarkable woman. Has 2 children herself. Been married to a wonderful man for a very long time, and really one of the really good people in this world. It's great to have her with us. I told her she could talk about pretty much anything she wanted, so I will welcome her to Distraction. Kristin, take it away.
Thank you, Ned. I don't know if I'm worthy of all the kind words, but
certainly are.
Thank you very much.
You certainly are.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me. The thing I thought was so funny is when you offered me an open platform to discuss what I thought was important, I kind of reached out to some of the patients I work with and some of the mothers who have ADHD and those who don't to find out what they'd be interested in hearing from me specifically, or me and you. And they all pretty much unanimously said the same topic. And they said, we all want to know, how is it that you get things done with pretty profound ADHD, medicated or not, in my life? I've always been able to execute and task to completion, and it's not easy, but you learn to make it a habit. And so I had a very brilliant junior from Washington University computer engineering student in my office recently. And he said, how do I just make myself do it? I look at all these things and everything looks so insurmountable and overwhelming. And as you and I both know, when things for people in general, but particularly those with ADHD, see something that's mentally exhausting or overwhelming, they procrastinate, avoid, completely blow it off until it's too late, then end up doing poorly, then pick up behind the eight ball, and then this vicious cycle ensues where you're playing catch up on the hamster wheel. So I explained to this young man that so much of it is, what do you want to get done? So you have to basically prioritize. And he said he had to get 8 letters done with, a resume to send out to internships by Wednesday. And I said, okay, well, let's draft this cover letter. So you just have to take one piece at a time. Don't look at every other assignment you have to do by Wednesday. Just do this one. So I always tell them to prioritize the most important tasks in the timeline and put them down on paper, whether it's an old-fashioned list, putting it in a notes app on the phone, or dictating it into your phone and then pasting it, whatever. You need to make a list because it feels so good when you can cross it off. Everybody agrees that accomplishing a task, whether it's making your bed or finishing those letters, you feel great crossing it off.
It's like losing a pound. It's like if you're trying to lose weight, each pound you feel that much better. Yeah,
exactly.
I know that because I'm trying to lose weight. So
right, but the biggest thing is, all of us are pleasers, and we all like to have rewards, right? Because it's a little dopamine release with a reward, correct?
Yeah.
So I like to incentivize myself and my patients, and I always tell them, incentivize yourself. And this kid likes to go work out, but he doesn't have time. I said, well, get it done by 6 p.m. and then go work out for an hour. Mm-hmm. Make time. Mm-hmm. The mind is a powerful thing. If you want it bad enough, you can do it. Medicated or not, you can do it, right, Ned? I mean, when you want it bad enough, you can accomplish it if you set out little ways with lists, prioritization, incentives, and timelines. Anyone can do anything.
Absolutely.
There's really no excuse because you just can take little pieces of the pie and finish it off. Because when you take a little teeny piece and break it into small, manageable tasks, it's nearly impossible to get it all done at once. Those small segments don't look so overwhelming, and then your anxiety goes down, and you can do it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the next thing is how I get it all done in a day. Sometimes I always, set an alarm, do a routine, even on the weekends. But things like just putting a cooler in the back of your car with ice packs, for especially the moms, when you're running around, going to and from work or going to and from helping at the school, and you think of something on your mind kind of impulsively or instantly, and you want to run to the grocery and get it, and stick it in that cooler and then keep on your way. You don't have to detour back home and then waste time. I live by having a little cooler in the way back of my car with the ice packs in it, because you get all these little things done throughout the day without having to waste time and space.
Wow, so it's like you've got a refrigerator in your car.
Pretty much.
Wow.
But it really saves time.
Yeah.
Because you can get to the gym a little bit early, and there's a grocery right in that strip mall. You can pop in there, get a few items. Then you've nailed 2 birds with one stone. You've worked out, you've gotten the groceries for the night, go home, shower, go to work.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier when you can start to put interventions in place that will make life easier. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Life's hard enough. We're all busy. Mm-hmm. We're all stressed. We're all doing a lot of things. And people are like, how do you do it? I do it because I want to, first of all. Mm-hmm. Get, like you always say, get the job you love, get the right job. Mm-hmm. I love what I do, love my kids, and you always just have to prioritize. They're always the most important. So if the clock stops at both jobs between 3 and 4:30 so I can get them off the bus, take care of my girls, and then I can go back to whatever I was doing. Mm-hmm. People need to learn to prioritize what's the most important and then take it off into little pieces. Mm-hmm. Eliminate the stress that you're able to. Mm-hmm. So for me, social media was becoming a rabbit hole, just going down a bad path. Mm-hmm. So eliminating Facebook for a while, eliminating, social media for some of us for a little amount of time is good. Then you can come back to it. It's just sometimes it becomes one more thing to do, and you can eliminate it because it's probably not the most important thing at the time. Does that make sense?
Total.
Another thing is a lot of are doing this.
If I could just stop you for 1 second, because I want to do full justice to that, because I think it is the single biggest time waster. When people say, I have more to do than time to do it, I say, my word for it is screen sucking. I say, how much time do you give to screens? And most people are just not aware of how much time. If you add it all up between email and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and all of the different screen time, and we're mostly not aware of how much time we're giving to screens. If you just go screen free for even a part of a day, let alone a whole day, you're going to have a lot more free time. And at first you won't know what to do with that time.
Right. Yeah, agreed. And there is a platform for the promotions and the good things through social media and things like that. But I think, as you say, to just be cautioned about how much time you are on it and how it can be so addicting. And I've seen your other pieces on that. And I think it's really important because people need to get outside and play games and play and run and do sports and be active, because it gives the same kind of dopamine feel-good release and get your energy out there without having to sit there and worry about how many likes you have and if you're liked or not based on amount of hearts. It's just ridiculous. And so I thought role modeling that for my own kids was a good idea, just showing them you don't need this. And then they don't, you got to kind of practice what you preach, if you will. The other thing is I have, whether you have a housekeeper or not, or you have a helpful husband like I have my girls pitch in, which helps also get things done during the day. Delegate, learn to say no. All these parents, a lot of these moms and dads think that they are so amazing and that they can do it the right way. That's true, but it doesn't mean it's the only way. So sometimes I'll be like, hey, to my husband, can you pick up the dog's medicine, or can you get the girls today? Delegate, learn to say no. Build in buffers, like how, on late start, I'm sick of trying to arrange that. So I hired a high school girl to drive one girl in for late start. Parents need to learn how to just relax. You're doing the best you can, and that's how you get it all done. And you just have to put things in place that are going to help you be a success. And making lists and taking off little pieces is huge. And by the way, the WashU student finished all 8 letters and applications by Tuesday night.
Wow.
So he accomplished a goal in a matter of 48 hours of meeting together. He did one letter, I proofread it, he buffed up his resume, and by Tuesday he said, I got them all in. And what a great feeling. So,
but you didn't put that on your list of suggestions, namely work with someone like you.
No. Well, right. But I mean, he looked at me and he said, how can I just make myself do it? I keep looking at it.
But see, that's not, you can't. You got to work with a coach, work with Kristin.
That's true. You do. You're right. I mean, I guess I underestimate that role too much, but I think it's very important, because just saying, hey, that is a lot of work with your regular 14 credit hours and you're a brilliant young man. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure and you've been sick, but let's see how we can do this. What's due first, second, third? And next thing you know, I got a text Friday saying I got everything in, and he's, it's kind of a great little story, because he said, I couldn't finish my entire exam because I was so sick and tired and behind the 8 ball. And I said, well, why didn't you tell your teacher you were sick? Let's shoot a quick email. He probably has no idea you were flu positive. We did. The professor writes him back, says, you know what, you have a 24-hour extension. I had no idea you were so ill over break. I think people just are so quick to give up sometimes. And I'm not saying he gave up, but they don't realize you can think outside the box, and people want to help each other. And if they understand there's a good reason that we can all work together. It just...
Yeah, when you're doing it alone, you get overwhelmed.
Correct. You're right. And they don't think outside the box and you get overwhelmed. Exactly, Ned. That's exactly right. And so it's good to, you're right. You get overwhelmed, and when you have someone there to help you kind of think it through and kind of plan with, it's a lot more, you feel not like you're drowning. You feel supported. That's a very good point, yeah.
All right, Kristin, if you could hang on for just a moment while I tell our listeners about our sponsor, Landmark College. For over 25 years, the Landmark College Institute for Research and Training has provided cutting-edge, relevant, and practical professional learning to individuals and schools. Informed by current research and decades of classroom experience, the Institute is a leader in the fields of learning disabilities, ADHD, and autism spectrum disorder. And this spring is no different. The Institute has lined up a couple of great webinars for educators, including one available now called Destination Education, Supporting Students with Learning Differences in the College Search. In this presentation, Landmark College's lead educational specialist, who also happens to be a former admissions officer, offers tips that educators can use to assist their students with learning differences as they face common college search obstacles. You can register for any of the Institute's webinars by going to lcdistraction.org and then click on Research and Training. All right, now back to Kristin Seymour.
I had a physician the other day, brilliant. He had so many thoughts on his mind, he didn't know how to exercise documenting them. So he dictated them while he was driving in the phone notes app. And he's like, how do I get this to a document? I said, just upload it in an email to yourself, copy and paste it to Word, have it spell checked and formatted, and you've got your, outline for your paper. There's just all these shortcuts.
So this was a physician.
That's a physician who's in a graduate program here in St. Louis. Yeah, he's one of my patients' parents.
So just to underline that for people listening, that this is not a problem that's related to IQ or level of achievement. This is a problem that cuts across all levels of education, all levels of IQ, that is afflicting, I would say, everybody in the world today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the world today could benefit from just a few, just take it easy, how to do some shortcuts. ADHD is not, as you say, it's across all types. And this patient's, and I believe you've spoken with him once, but anyway, his parents are both physicians, and they're very bright. Mm-hmm. And the dad, I don't believe, has ADHD, but he was asking, he's like, well, how do you get those thoughts out so quick? And then, because our minds are as you say, Ferrari engines. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the thoughts are coming faster than you can write them down, especially if you're maybe walking or, driving.
Yeah.
And you can dictate. And it's really saved some time. And also, some of your best ideas come when you're stimulating your dopamine, exercising, mm-hmm. walking, driving, listening to music. Mm-hmm. And that's why sometimes it's not convenient for a pen and paper. Mm-hmm. So dictate, cut, and paste mm-hmm. is a nice way that people can, hey, that's awesome. I didn't forget what I was going to say or do. Mm-hmm. So, and also I always try to tell people what I do, because I hate saying, oh, do this, but if I know I can't do it, right. I like to do things that are really, truly reasonable and feasible.
Right.
Because otherwise you get frustrated and you're like, this isn't going to work, and then you get frustrated again. Right. So, and never quit. The sky is not falling. So many people freak out if they don't get behind on one assignment. That is the biggest mistake. Just chill out. The sky is not falling. Start up again tomorrow. Your professors are understanding. Teachers want to help you. You just don't have to make excuses every time, but once in a blue moon, they want to help you too. Right.
So ask for help, I guess, would be another tip, huh?
Yeah, ask for help is huge. I mean, to have so many bright students, especially the college, the high school students, the college students, the young professionals I see, it's okay to ask for help. None of us are in this alone. It's kind of humbling. And I think incentivizing yourself is huge. From the 8-year-old I work with, oh my gosh, he's so precious. If you could get up and make your breakfast every day without whining to your mother, I think, he's 11 now. He is going to go with me to Shake Shack on a Sunday and get a shake. That was his incentive for a month of good behavior. Mm-hmm. So incentives are great because they're rewards. It's that dopamine, that reward pathway again, the positive reward. And it can be you don't have to, kiss their behinds for just doing their job mm-hmm. and being a respectful young person. But mm-hmm. when it's something that's a challenge for that child, like making breakfast, getting up on time, getting homework assignments done without mom nagging, those are all things that deserve a reward and recognition after a few weeks or a month, because that's really hard for kids with ADHD and can't focus, mm-hmm. much harder than the child who can. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's those are just more reasons how we all get it done. And I incentivize myself to get stuff done. And mm-hmm. all the time, because I don't always want to do something, but you have to. I mean, if we all did what we wanted in life, gosh, we wouldn't be very successful probably. We mm-hmm. have to do certain things. Mm-hmm.
And the thing about incentives, the more immediate they can be, the better. I mean, you brush your teeth to avoid getting cavities, and that's a long right. time away. But But if you can have an immediate incentive, like your kid, so he can go work out, that tends to work a little bit better.
Right. And I think even just something as simple as making the bed every morning, it's so nice to see it clean and,
yes,
all put together. So when you come home from work or your day, it's clean, it's put together, it's one task accomplished.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Or same thing about cooking dinner. You end up with a dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that this kid, when he was able to, I have another patient who just wanted to be able to go swing dance every Monday night. And he is hilarious in college. And I said, well, if you want to keep that up, we've got to get the stats going.
Yeah.
So let's have our goal be by Sunday at 3, everything is done and checked.
Yeah.
You've got to have that incentive, no matter what it is, it's different for everybody, what makes you tick.
Yeah.
But when you have someone to kind of help, I feel like I'm more of an accountability coach.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
Because they want to we're all pleasers, right?
Yeah.
So when we're pleasers, we love making people happy. We love pleasing people, especially those with ADHD. They're so sensitive, and they love to please their parents and teachers and friends.
Yeah.
When they know they're pleasing you, they feel good.
Yeah.
So when they know that I'm not their mom or dad, but I'm also not their friend or peer, they're like, I want to make Miss Seymour happy, or Kristin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this, and then it becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm.
So after about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, some kids about 6 months of working together, they're like, oh, it's ingrained. I did it so long trying to make her proud and myself proud that now I only want to do it because I like it and it's a habit. So I'm kind of creating positive habits with the kids.
But one of your great talents, and I think anyone listening who is a parent or a teacher or a coach, you want to cultivate this. And I happen to know this because I know you. You have a great way of showing that you're pleased. In other words, you don't just sort of say, oh, that's nice. I mean, you really say, wow. I mean, anyone would want to please you because you really show you're pleased, and you don't fake it. You really mean it. You're like, wow, that's great.
Yeah, I celebrate it big time.
And, you really get excited for them, not over just producing a good bowel movement. I mean, they've got to do something that matters, but if they do something that matters, you really you get excited about it. And,
especially if it's something that was hard for that person or a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, this young man who I just met, his mom was really eager to get him in. We have to save the semester. This kid showed up early to my office. We worked together. He completed it. He wrote me and said, I'm going to go camping this weekend. I did all my work. I feel great. And I didn't just write him. I called him. And I said, I am so proud of you. You rock star.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
You did everything and more than you wanted to do in 1 week.
Yeah.
This should be celebrated. Enjoy your, whatever. But yeah, I get really excited with them. I'm very proud of them. And I know, because I know personally how hard it is to do what they're doing.
And I think that's something that anybody who works with people who are having trouble making progress and whatnot, they need to be aware that when they do make progress at something that is challenging, it's important to get really excited the way you do, Kristin.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I even think even just getting help. I mean, I have a lot of moms I'm working with just coming in to say, hey, how do I get this done? And I'm like, I'm just proud of you for being here.
Yeah.
Sometimes making the call and getting yourself in to get someone to help guide you or understand your child better is hard. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. And just coming to get help is a big deal.
What advice do you have for moms or dads or anyone who says, well, my son or daughter just won't get help?
Well, that's tough. If they're on meds or they're in sports or they're not medicated or whatever the situation is, I usually tell the parents, if they have me in mind, just to at least come and see, and then they let the kid decide, because what's an hour of their life? I mean, it's 1 hour. And then they can reward my office is over a cupcake place, and I did that on purpose. They could bribe the child. Again, incentive.
That's great.
So the child can come with their parent, and a lot of these, I would say about 7 out of 10 probably didn't want to excitedly come here, but they all leave wanting my cell phone number and not actually wanting to leave. I had one young man yesterday for 3 hours and 20 minutes in my office.
It's so symbolic that your office is over a cupcake place.
I did that on purpose, my friend. That was a complete strategy.
That is so great. That is so great. I often say that any expert who says you shouldn't bribe children, doesn't have children. I mean, it's...
it's all about threats and bribes. I'm just kidding. Consequences and incentives, because these kids, think about I just try to think of how I used to be. And I kind of tried to put myself in their position. Yeah. And I think, you know what? I didn't probably want to be here at, 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's like, I look at the kid and I'm like, I know you probably, this one's 17. This is probably the last place you want to be.
Yeah.
But I want to help you, and I'm going to talk to you about a few ideas to get, these grades up and make you feel more confident.
And he
didn't want to leave. I had to literally take him out at 1.
You worked with one yesterday for 3 hours. That's
17-year-old. Yes, and then he texted me that night and he goes, "Hey, thanks again."
3 hours on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes, I was only supposed to meet with him for an hour. My husband's like, "Hey, I got dinner. Are you coming home?"
With a 17-year-old.
Yep.
Who at first didn't want to come at all.
No, he didn't, and he was so great. And he's already texted me today and said he's going to do his flashcards during study hall, and he's going to send me a picture of them, because I'm going to prove to him. I said, you have 5 days to do this my way, and if it doesn't work and you don't like it, then we'll know we tried and we'll do something else.
See, Kristin, that's just, we have to do this again, because you really have a secret sauce. I mean, this is solving a problem that I get asked about all the time by parents everywhere. How do I motivate the kid who doesn't want to do anything? And so you took a 17-year-old male, about the most difficult population you can imagine.
I'm talking like 6 feet tall, football player, lacrosse player, darling kid that did not really want to be here.
Doesn't seem darling to anyone else, because he's saying, no, I don't want any help and get away from me, and I'd rather sit in the basement and play video games. And
exactly.
Yeah, and somehow or other.
That's one. By the way, the video game is one of his rewards. By the way, it's funny
so
you said that.
He walks into your office and basically arms folded and says, "Okay, what are you going to do for me, bitch?" And you somehow keep him for 3 hours.
I started packing up. He kept wanting to stay, and finally I started turning lights off. I'm like, we got to cruise. And so he walked out to my car with me, and he was lovely. Gave me his cell phone number, and I tell the parents, I screenshot, our messages to parents. I like to keep them in the loop, and the children know that that's the rule. And just to give them a feel of how we discuss, goals and objectives. And this young man wrote me last night and this morning both and said, "I will send you my pictures of my flashcards. Thank you again."
So in 25 words or less, how did you engage him?
In how many words or less?
Well, take as many as you want.
I engaged him by relating to him and saying, "I know how much this is a struggle, but you know what? You don't have a choice. You have to get through this class unless you want to spend the whole summer in summer school. So I want to help you do this." And and then he just looked up at me like, "Okay." And I'm like, the last thing you need is another lecturer or parent. You need someone to help advise you and guide you. So here's what I want to try to do with you. You're not an audio learner, you're visual. You've already told me that. So let's figure out a way to implement and, commit these terms to memory for this class. And I want you to try these colored flashcards and colored gel pens, because they stimulate dopamine. They stimulate your brain to feel happy when you use these. Mm-hmm. And they did. And he's like, wow. And he took them home. I always have stuff stocked here just so they can start right away. Mm-hmm. And then he just started saying, he goes, "I've been to a lot of therapists over the years, and I sit there and tell them what they want to hear, but I really felt good today. I thank you." And then his dad called later and said, "I've never heard him sound so peaceful."
Wow.
And that was and I'm like, usually people who are done with me need a nap, but that's good.
That's good, yes.
And he laughed, and he said, "My son was revived and just felt calm and was so happy." And so it was a good day. It was actually a great day. I worked hard, but it was worth it, just for one more kid to feel comfortable and confident.
Well, I know you have another place to get to, and I'm going to let you go, but you really are the Pied Piper. You really are amazing, whether it's working with difficult parents or difficult children. You can engage just about anybody.
Thank you. And I think I learned from the best. I mean, you.
Well, no, you learned from yourself and your own experience, where you were in a fog, and then you wrote about it, how the fog lifted. And
truly. And I had great parents. I mean, as you know, they were really wonderful and instrumental, and they weren't perfect, but they sure did a heck of a good job, I think. And I then came out to say, you know what, I don't care what people think. Yeah. I put it out there about my struggles, and I just want to help people, as you say, burn. I burned so they don't suffer like I did. But you have taught me so much.
Well, and you come up with these great ideas like keeping ice packs in the back of your car, so you've got a traveling refrigerator, and
it's not, and it doesn't have beer or wine in it, folks. Everybody always asks me if that's what's in there. I'm like, no, friends, I wish. That's for tailgate season, okay? But anyway, you're the best. Thank you for everything. You've really taught me so much too, though, to implement with this.
Kristin, it goes both ways. You've taught me so much, and we will have you again. I love the idea of you've got a 17-year-old male who doesn't want to talk to anyone, and he ends up spending 3 hours and goes home and has to take a nap. That's fantastic.
He's awesome. It was a great day. But you guys are great. Thanks for everything, and you have a super rest of the day, I look forward to talking with you all again soon.
All right, take care. Thanks so much for joining me again on Distraction, Kristin. You really are remarkable. I hope her energy and imagination came through. I mean, what she's doing, thinking on her feet, using her intuition and her experience, she really is engaging with the most difficult groups of people I know, because she talks to me about them all the time. And she can engage with anyone. I mean, if you can take a 17-year-old male with ADD who doesn't want to talk to anybody and have him stay with you for 3 hours on a Sunday afternoon, believe me, that's about as tough as it gets. And short of someone who's actively on drugs, in which case there's no point in trying, because you have to wait for him to get sober. And she's really remarkable. If you'd like to learn more about Kristin or get a copy of her book, The Fog Lifted, go to ADHDfoglifted.com or click on the link episode description in the podcast. If you like what you're hearing here, remember to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode. We'd love for you to give us a review on Apple Podcasts as well. That really helps the show. So just go to Apple Podcasts and review us. Also, please send us questions or show ideas to connect@distractionpodcast.com. That's connect@distractionpodcast.com. Or call us at 844-55-CONNECT. That's 844-55-CONNECT. And leave us a message on our voicemail. Distraction is produced by Collisions, the podcast division of CRN International. Collisions, podcasts for curious people. Our producer is Sarah Gurton, and our audio engineers are Scott Person and Greg Session.